I believe that this message is going for those who feel restless in the way that things are not going according to their plan yet. If you are in that season where you've already asked the Lord multiple times, you've done all of the prayers, all of the novenas, all of the necessary quote unquote preparation, and yet you still haven't received what you had prayed for, I'm with you. It is a very difficult position to be in, and all I can say is that the best way to move forward is to simply trust that Jesus is in control, that God has our lives in His hands, and that as long as we continue to obey Him, trust in Him, and have full faith in His goodness and His mercy, we will be able to receive what we had long prayed for. It's absolutely true when they say that Jesus gives you your heart's desires or your prayers at the most perfect time. Just accept that whatever is for you will be for you. Sawat dito kun, buenos dias, and welcome back to My Holy Hill. I am teacher Therese Marie, and I'm your host for this podcast. So this podcast is primarily for those who already followed me on Instagram primarily and Facebook primarily. I can make this a drinking game. Let's see how many times I say primarily all throughout this episode. Anyways, this is just the second episode, and I'm going to be publishing this in bulk just so that you have more episodes to watch later on. After the Feast of the Divine Mercy yesterday, which was held in all over the world, but here in Thailand it was held in the Church of the Most Holy Redeemer in BTS Ploenchit, I saw a lot of people, and it was so encouraging to see a lot of faithful believers nowadays, especially more men. Because oftentimes whenever you visit the church, there's only mostly either older people, their children, their reluctant children, or grandchildren, and or females. But there's a great lack of males. But so far, recently, I've seen so many more males, which I'm very thankful for, because we need leaders in the church, and men are born leaders. So let's continue to pray that there would be more men and women, because men are leaders, but women, we're the ones who make things move, I would say. All right. Anyways, going back. So this episode is going to be a testimony about my trip to a very wonderful place before. So this has been actually recorded a long time ago, but I had to take the video down because of the fact that it's not yet in line with all of the other things. But anyways, the Lord had placed in my heart today to proclaim and to share my testimony or my story when it comes to going to my dream country. That was in 2018. So I believe that this message is going for those who feel restless in the way that things are not going according to their plan yet. If you are in that season where you've already asked the Lord multiple times, you've done all of the prayers, all of the novenas, all of the necessary quote unquote preparation, and yet you still haven't received what you had prayed for, I'm with you. It is a very difficult position to be in, and all I can say is that the best way to move forward is to simply trust that Jesus is in control, that God has our lives in His hands, and that as long as we continue to obey Him, trust in Him, and have full faith in His goodness and His mercy, we will be able to receive what we had long prayed for. So this was similar to that situation back in 2018. I was, oh no, actually, it's not, it was that promise or that desire was fulfilled in 2018. But I've prayed for it since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So for those who don't know me, I'm actually a huge otaku. An otaku is an anime lover and someone who loves to watch anime. I grew up with anime. The very first anime that I watched is Voltes 5. It's the one with the theme song that says, Tatoe arashi o hito tomo. I'm so sorry about the lyrics, but that's it. It's about mecha. So I think ever since then, I've had this affinity for anime that has mecha. So my number one, my all-time favorite anime would be Code Geass. Ugh, nothing can beat the plot, the character, the music. It's just classic. And then for a brief period of time, I did watch and like Gundam. I forgot which series it was, but all of my notebooks during 1 year when I was in high school was Gundam. I think it was Gundam Seed or Gundam 00, either of the two. Anyways, I'm a huge anime lover, and because of that, I think as long as you're an anime lover, then you're a Japan lover. You can't be either or, you have to be both. People might debate otherwise, but I stand firm with my statement. So going back, I've always had this dream to go to Japan, and because of that, I had always sought opportunities to go there for free, especially because I'm from a single parent household and I was a scholar. I'm not that well off. Our family is not rich, and so I had to be wise, and I had to be industrious. I had to look for ways in which I could achieve this wonderful dream that I had, to travel to Japan for free. And all throughout college, I already know what was the door to do that, and that was to apply for Genesis. Genesis spelled as Genesys. So Genesis is a Japanese exchange program between the government of the Philippines and Japan. And that's where they send out a cohort of Filipino students or professionals to the different regions in Japan in order to promote a certain theme. So they have multiple themes, either political, economic, social, all of that. And I've tried. So the very first time I tried to apply for this program was when I was in the second year of my college, and that was when, of course, I was just ready, I wanted it. I wanted it more than anything because it's my dream. It's my dream to go to Japan and experience what I just see on TV. And so when I went there, when I went to the computer lab, that's where we would do. I'm so thankful for my university for having computer labs so that we can do our homeworks and projects there. It was very helpful, especially for the students who did not have any laptops. It's unlike people who are in well-off schools where everyone has a laptop. Some universities, or many universities actually, have students who barely have a screen or a TV. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm thankful for that. I remember just typing away and filling out the form, writing out all of the essays and saying why I am the best applicant for this program. And at that time, I believe the theme was political. And although my course at that time was international studies, I wouldn't say I was leaning towards that sector. I was more social and more liberal and entrepreneurial rather than political. So even without that, I said, I can maybe convince them and such. I just really wanted to do it. But deep inside in my heart, there was somewhat, I'm not sure, but I believe that it was sort of like the Holy Spirit trying to tell me, like, it's not yet time, and I will be rejected. And a part of me was worried. I was aware. I was aware of this voice, and I was aware of it speaking to me, but I disregarded it, and I was like, okay, it's okay. Maybe that's just negative thought, negative thinking that's preventing me, or maybe that's just fear that's stopping me. So I still went on ahead with my application, and lo and behold, of course, I kind of expected it, but I wasn't accepted. And I was disappointed, yes, for sure, but I was also not distraught, because I know there were other opportunities. There were multiple times. This Genesis program was occurring 3 to 4 times a year, so I can just try again. And one thing's for sure about me: when I want something, I'll get it. I'll do everything that I can in order to achieve what I want. That's how much I wanted it. And so time went on, and I focused on other things, and the second opportunity came, and this time I was in my 3rd year of university. I'm more mature, I would say, and a little bit more realistic now after experiencing a lot of setbacks, failures, and disappointments with regards to life in general. But at that point, I was still very hopeful, and I tried applying again for one of their programs. This time, the theme was one of my weakest ones, which is economic. So yeah, they were looking for economists. So they were looking for economists at that time, and they specified what it was going to be about, what they're going to be focusing on, and I did my best. I know how to write, and I know how to persuade in a way. So I wrote all that I could to convince the the people to please bring me to Japan. And I was just I really wanted it. But again, there's that voice deep within my heart that's saying, you'll be rejected. The voice inside of me was telling me that I will still be rejected, and it's only on the 3rd time. On the 3rd time, that is the time that I will be accepted. Okay, so I still submitted my application with hopes, but not so high as the first time. But also having faith that, okay, so if it's not accepted, then it's not for me, Just accept that whatever is for you will be for you. And so time passed by, and again I received the rejection letter, which was painful, because that was the time when I said, I really wanted to go, because that time I also had more free time. But then I just continued praying. I was that adamant. So whenever you also feel as though it's not happening, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen ever. Just trust that if the desire is still burning in your heart, and I feel so strongly that the Lord is also telling me this to me, He's letting me say it to you, but also letting me be convicted by it. And it's so funny. But anyways, it's like He's telling me that just because I don't see it happening, just because I don't see it occurring the way I wanted it to be occurring, or just because I don't see it happening when I want it to happen, doesn't mean that the Lord won't give it to you. And that's because, yes, human as I am, I can be quite impatient. So I said, okay, fine. I accepted that. And then I proceeded to focus on other things, but there's still always that long, like, Lord, I want to go there, I want to go there, I want to go there. And finally, after I graduated college or university, that was a time when I could apply again. And this time, I was already working. I applied for the program that they had in autumn of 2018, and I was so glad, because that time their theme was for media and communications, and I was working in the communications office. So that was perfect. It was absolutely perfect for me because that was where I was leaning towards. That's where my strengths lie. I am not analytical. I am not economical. Is that the word? I do not, or my strengths do not lie in the field of politics or economics or even philosophy. So there are some trains of thought that I adhere to, but when it comes to the general idea of philosophy, not my cup of tea. But when it comes to media and communications, I am filled with light because it's something that I'm truly passionate about and I lean towards. So I applied with high hopes. And one of the things I actually feared was this one. So even if it costs you, or even if you think it might cause you problems, always be honest with whatever you do. At that time, after experiencing a lot of things, I learned that I was actually allergic to olives. I didn't know that, and I just found out. No. So I had an allergic reaction to olive oil being rubbed on my back. So I'm not sure if it's olive oil on my body or olives in general, but basically I had such a difficult or such an intense reaction to olive oil. So I said, okay, I might be allergic to olives. And I wrote that on my application. And I thought, I was so scared just because of that. Maybe, maybe one of the logistics team was like, we don't want any problems. So we're not going to take someone who's allergic to olives just so that they have less problems when it comes to the logistical part, because it is a fully paid program and they are in charge of all of our accommodation and meals. So if I'm allergic to something, then they have to prepare something else for me. And I was struggling with being honest at that time, but I said, no, okay, if it's for you, if it's meant for you, it will be for you. So, and I always ended it with a prayer to Jesus to bless me with this opportunity, because I've waited for it for so long, ever since I've wanted to go to Japan, or ever since I started watching anime. I've always wanted to go to Japan, and that's like a 6-year-old dream. And back then I was already 18. No, I was already 20. So yeah, it's about time. And yeah, by the grace of God, after a grueling and very painful or stressful and anxiety-filled time or period of waiting, I received the most beautiful yes ever, and that is to go to Japan for free. And I'm so happy because, it's truly, truly true. It's absolutely true when they say that Jesus gives you your heart's desires or your prayers at the most perfect time. And that was the perfect time, because finally I can go there without having any issue, or without having any worry about any exams or projects or club work that I needed to attend to, because I was still a student. Since I'm already working, I already have a bit of money to prepare for the trip, as well as I don't have projects to think about. I can just really be in the moment and really immerse myself in that culture because I'm working. And this was also a way for me to promote our university at that time. So back then, I realized how much I as a person tend to lean towards my own understanding and lean towards wanting things according to how I want them to occur, but not understanding or not fully grasping the fact that it's always best to entrust the Lord with all of your plans and all of your heart's desires, because He's the one who loves you most. He's the one who will give it to you when you want it, when you need it, and when it would benefit you the most. So again, for those of you who are struggling with this waiting period, or in this waiting period, I would suggest that you offer it all up to the Lord. Allow Him to be in control. Let Him work things in your favor, and allow Him to surprise you. Allow Him to do the miracles or perform the miracles that only He can provide and perform. And as always, and with any testimony or with any challenge, with any test, there is always an opportunity that allows us human beings to bring the glory to Him. Because it's always pointing back to the fact that none of this would have occurred without the Lord. I wouldn't have been able to go to Japan because of my own strength. It was Him. He gifted it to me, and in His mercy and in His love for me, He provided what I wanted at that time. And it's that, to trust in Him, to have faith in Him, and to fully surrender to His will. Those are the things that I then learned. And after that, my story became somewhat of an inspirational story for others, for my junior students, so my junior levels, those who were still going to graduate or go in the second year or third year of the program. Because when they learned that I failed, I wasn't accepted immediately, because when they first learned that I was going to Japan, they were like, "Oh, you're so cool, you're the best, that's so amazing, you're awesome." I was idolized. I don't like the term idolized, but they really viewed me so highly. But then I was able to re-echo in an opportunity with our university, re-echo with them what I've learned, what I've experienced, and I shared with them the fact that yes, I was able to achieve this, or I was given this wonderful opportunity, but it wasn't easy, and I was rejected multiple times even before I was accepted. And that was more powerful and more impactful for them, because many of them, I think, or many of us actually, even me included, I struggle with accepting rejection. It's as if my worth is linked to the acceptance of a certain job or of a certain title or a certain award, but it's not. We simply have to accept the fact that we are enough and that we are a work in progress. They are not separate truths, but two truths at the same time. So we are enough. So if it is for you, then it will be again for you. But if it's not, then perhaps something else could be improved. And again, at that time, my situation was the one that could be improved. As a student, I would not have been able to immerse myself fully into that program. I would have been thinking, oh, I still have to do my exam, or I still have to study for this, or I need to prepare my presentation back then. But once I was working, I didn't have that. I didn't have any problems at all. And that's why that experience is so unforgettable for me, because I was there fully. That experience allowed me to be there fully. I hope that this testimony has helped you, and as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this, and or if this resonated with you. I truly hope that with this episode, I would be able to reach out to more and more people online and build this community where we could just encourage one another in our journey towards heaven up above. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again in the next video. God bless you.